Welcome to the Studio Chat podcast, your safe haven for self-discovery, growth, and transformation. I'm Barbara Thompson, your host. I'm a therapist and the founder of Self-Care Studio. Whether you're joining me from my private counselling sessions, my courses, or right here on this podcast, I'm dedicated to helping you reconnect with yourself and live life authentically. This podcast is your reminder to pause, reflect, and reclaim your power. Together we'll explore the messy, beautiful journey of life, from letting go of people-pleasing and overthinking to embracing your worth and stepping boldly into your true self. Here, you're not just a listener, you're part of a community that values self-trust, self-love, and living life on your terms. So whether you're navigating challenges, seeking clarity, or simply craving a dose of inspiration, you've come to the right place. Thank you so much for choosing to spend this time with me. Let's dive into today's episode and continue this journey together. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Studio Chat podcast. Today's guest is someone who works faster and deeper than anyone I've ever met in the burnout and transformation space. And I was trying to think of a way to explain what Claire does and who she is. And I was like, well, she's part coach and part intuitive and completely results driven. So I kind of want you to make up your mind when you hear her on this episode today. And if your soul feels off purpose right now, you don't know what your purpose is, you feel off, you feel burnt out, you feel lost, you keep doing the same thing over and over again, and you want change, I want you to lean into this conversation because this is what you need right now. So this is why you've clicked on this episode. There's no coincidences here. So I want to welcome Claire Chancellor back to my podcast. Hi, Claire.
Hi, Barbara. Hi, everybody listening. This is so exciting.
It's so exciting because we're going to give people a real insight into you and what you do. And I've worked with you on a personal level, so we can share a bit about that as well. But there's so many people out there that coach or help people. And it's like how you're so different to everyone else. And what I love about you is you actually get results. So that talks my language. There's some people that don't mind farting around and just that la 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 la. And that is not me. And I think anyone listening to my podcast, we're people that are driven. We want results. We don't want to just sit in that space. We're feeling the things. We want to feel them and move on. So yeah, I think your story and who you are and what you do is very hard to explain. I'm going to start off by saying that. And that comes with love. There's no one else that does what you do. There's no blueprint. I can't say to people, listening, this is Claire and she does blah, 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 because there's so many facets to you. There's like the mediumship, there's tarot, there's NLP, and don't worry if you don't know any of these, Claire will explain them in a minute. And there's just her connection to all of those, her life experience, her hundreds of people that she's helped not only understand why they think and do what they do. That's the cool thing about Claire. She helps you, okay, this is where I see you're at, and she explains it and explains there's reasons why everything's happening. So if you're sitting there right now thinking, oh, life is so mean, or this is so hard, and why, I understand where you are, but there's a reason to everything. So once you take that lens off and be like, okay, why is this happening for me, not to me? It changes everything, and Claire walks you through that. So I think we want to start from the beginning, Claire, and then we can work out how you work and why it's different. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, it sounds good. And it sounds like we speak the same language because if I had paid a coach and they were doing the fluff stuff, I'm rolling my eyes. If you're good at your job, like get in there, let's sort this out. So because nobody wants to sit in stuckness longer than they have to, right?
I agree with you. Some people like it. Some people like living a lifestyle of go, 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 busy, busy, busy. I don't sleep. I'm so busy. I'm so this. I mean, I don't know what award you get for that. I'm still waiting for people to, I don't know, get an Oscar or something. But I think when you really understand what life is about, and we're all here to live a happy, fulfilled life, I don't want people to forget that.
Mm.
Like, it doesn't, life is hard because it tests us and it gives us things we need to learn, but that's why we're here on this earth.
Yeah,
But life
100%.
shouldn't be hard because life wants us to be fulfilled and happy and healthy.
Yeah, and if life is hard, then there's a red flag there. You gotta look into that one.
Yeah, so I'm trying to shift that narrative to the burnout space of it being hard and a slog and difficult to, okay, let's peel it back. Why? Find the reason why.
Yeah.
And it just makes sense. It's not complicated either. What you do is complicated because that's your skill set. So let's go back to when you were about 12, I think. And can you take us back to 12-year-old Claire when this all started for you?
Yeah, gosh, go back through that time tunnel back to 12 years old. Feel my heart racing going back to that time. I was a natural born medium, which means that I could always, always, always sense and see spirit to the point where mum would say to me, why don't you have any kids after school? And it was like, what? The house is full enough. Like, why do we need real people in the house? But when I got to about 12, starting to get to high school, I also learned that not everybody else is seeing spirit the way that I was seeing them in that 3D form outside of me. And this was at that time where mobile phones actually started to become more popular. And this is when a lot of my electromagnetic hypersensitivity, which is a big fancy word to say allergic to electricity and Wi-Fi, started to kick in. So there was so much of my energy connecting out to spirit, but I was also experiencing all sorts of health issues when it came to mobile phones, high tension power lines. My grandmother would buy me a watch for my birthday, and watches would literally go backwards on me. Time would go backwards. I would walk into shopping centers and I would completely crash their computer system. If I walked into like a shop that had a radio going, it would just go. So there was definitely something going on within my, again, fancy word, the electromagnetic field, and the way that I was sensitive and picking up not just on spirit, but on people's energy and the electricity. So this really put me on the path to understand being human and what our energy was doing and how we could harness that for the better. Because clearly I've cleared it, right, Barbara? Because I'm on the phone to you all the time. Mobile phones are now my friend. All of the power boxes and high tension power, they don't impact me anymore. And that took me a really long time to work through how to bring that into balance. And that's basically that passion and that drive is what I bring to client sessions. It's like, there is a solution to this.
Yeah, and we all want solutions. Wow, it sounded like a movie.
Yeah.
It sounded like a movie of everything, you walking in everywhere and disrupting everything in a good way. Um, wow. So then obviously a natural born medium. And for people that don't know what that is, can we just, I think most
Yeah.
people do, especially on my channel, but as people, you can see people, dead people. Is that kind of how it is?
Yeah, no, I'm freaked out by coffins and dead people. But when we understand our energy, our consciousness, our memories are not necessarily in the brain, and science is on their path to prove that. Our mind, our memories are within our energy field and in our consciousness. And so when the human body dies, the consciousness continues into what we would consider the spirit world, where there's the afterlife, there's, all of your loved ones in the spirit world. until they continue on their journey. So whenever I've done any mediumship readings, and I may have shared this on this podcast or others, is like, I know your Nana's around. I can see you taking money out of the ATM. Does this number relate, 9841, or all sorts of different fun stories where it's like, Claire, you cannot make that up. And why would you want to make it up? So that's where mediumship is talking to spirit, or connecting to spirit in this, connecting to loved ones in the spirit world, I should say. Different to psychic. Psychic is reading the energy you're projecting in front of you, that you are on that time stream. So psychic is looking into your future, that you have free will to shift and change. And there's all different varieties of working within that field.
Yeah, but it's so nice when each of us have, when you lose someone, can be an animal or a human being. It's so nice for me. It brought me a lot of comfort. It brings me a lot of comfort to know that someone explained it to me like a radio station, like just because when they pass over, the radio stations change, so the frequencies change. So I can't see it, which annoys the shit out of me. I'm sure I could see them, but that's a whole nother podcast for another day. I don't want to. But I can't see them, but they're still here, which is so fascinating, just to even think about that. But okay.
And another quick metaphor for people is like the fan spinning in summer. You can't see the blades, but you can feel the wind, you can feel it. So it's not relying on the logical mind's five senses. It's going deeper into the way you detect energy.
That's really cool. So from mediumship, you went into tarot and then NLP. Can you explain a little bit about those jumps?
Yeah, so people who are listening, NLP is neuro-linguistic programming, again, another fancy word. And this is all about the mind and the way that we communicate. So knowing how we're thinking, that self-communication will determine the results that you get on the outside world. So from my journey with doing mediumship readings, connecting to people's children in the spirit world, or their loved ones, or their pets, or having people come to me to say, why am I having money problems? Why am I having relationship problems? The spirit world is very good at identifying how you're stuck in fear, fear of repeating old patterns or hurt. And even the tarot in of itself is a visual symbolic representation of what's happening in your world and what's potentially blocking you. Look at that, there's the betrayal in the past or whatever it is. However, the spirit world didn't necessarily provide the solution or the script or the process beyond like meditation. It didn't really provide the effective solution to heal the fear, to heal the betrayal, to heal. And you've got to keep this in mind, in the spirit world, they are outside of time. They're not ruled by time. So when they see you having your human life and they're like, yeah, she'll figure it out, little bit by little bit, like they actually don't care how many lifetimes it takes for you to resolve that thing, because they know in the future life, that ex-boyfriend is going to come back and he's going to teach you that lesson. What NLP did was offered me that very effective way to understand why you kept tripping up, what kept you stuck, what's causing that secondary gain, or why they keep showing up in your life. And then you could actually have the tools to release that attachment, or release what they were teaching you, or if they were here to teach you about stepping into your power by pushing your buttons to make you feel powerless, we could now transcend that, which was incredible. And that's where the two went hand in hand. And of course, Barbara, I also then went off to the spirit world to say, okay, where was NLP created? I want to know from the higher realms, was that pure intention of NLP? Because it's definitely been tainted. If you know anything about NLP, it could be used for good or evil. I went straight up to spirit world and said, I want that pure channel of what it can do for people. So yeah, so you've experienced a little bit of the NLP, what I call like zapping. How have you you found it to be gentle?
Yeah, Yeah, some of the work that we've done. Yeah, it's almost like you ask a question, then you ask a question, then you ask a question, and you ask a question. It's like almost in therapy, like why, until you get to the bottom, and you just reframe it in different ways. So that's how I found parts of. It was really cool because it was just like just certain questions, and just yeah, it was really really fun and really interesting.
Yeah, and most of that's bypassing that logical brain that wants to keep you stuck and bypassing it and working with the unconscious mind that's again connected to that spirit world, that's connected to your purpose, that's connected to your nervous system. It's like, I want to hear from that part of you that's thinks it's protecting you in some way. I want to hear from it, not your logical mind where you'll just take us down the wrong path.
Mm. Yeah, that makes a lot of perfect sense. So when we look at one of the things you're good at many things. But one of the things is burnout, as in, I don't know, what does that look like for you on your side? How do people come to you, and what are some of the things that they say to you?
Yeah, well, I mean, you would see in your clients, right? How many people are feeling stuck, burnt out, not sure which direction to go. There's just so many mixed messages these days about, live a fulfilled life, but you're to blame if you're keeping yourself in cycles of stuckness, and then the fear if you don't change. Like, there's so many messages being pumped at us all the time to create that confusion that you never really know if you're coming or going. So there's definitely a level of that mental health side of things with burnout that I like to look at. However, when I'm working with burnout, I'm normally attracting clients who have done all the things, done all the different health modalities, done all of the different things. Their soul is definitely craving more out of life, but they're stuck in patterns of tolerating, overgiving, fearful about security, that it's impacting their health to autoimmune issues, burnout, chronic fatigue, other big deal health issues. And usually that's when people come to me where they've absolutely had enough and ready to go deeper. So that's where I start to look at, okay, what are they actually trying to escape from? How is the burnout serving them? Which we can go into more detail later. But yeah, this is usually what people want. They think they want the house, the money, the security that will solve all their problems. But the more they chase after that with the current invisible script that's going on in their mind, that hustle, that push, that overgiving, the everything else, yeah, creates the health issues to say, stop, we need to look at this. So
Mm.
yeah, I think I spoke really quickly then. I get passionate about this one. Did that make sense for you with like what you've seen with clients?
Perfect sense. And no, you didn't talk fast at all. I was with you every step of the way. And I would imagine that you would talk fast sometimes because this is what you specialize in and you're passionate about it. So I wouldn't want it any other way, to be honest. Yeah, I think people think burnout is one thing, but I think if you've got us in your ears right now and you're listening to us, I really want you to take note of. I just start with, are you really fulfilled and happy in your life? Start there. And do you feel good in your body, and how's your health? Like, start there and then work your way down. And a lot of people just settle from fear, settle because it's easier, settle because they're avoiding.
Yeah, and settle because they're hoping it will change.
Yeah, and settle because the fear of, I don't really know what there is, so unless I know this, so I'll just stay here.
Yeah. And what I see with clients who are high achieving, brilliant, like I love working with those clients, those high performing, performance driven people, often in their childhood, they've craved security and they've been told, get a good job, do all the things to ensure security. And yet, what was missing for them was the emotional security. So that's where there's that fear, am I doing enough? Fear, of getting taken away or judged or shamed, all of the things that go with it. And that's usually the undercurrent that's keeping burnout really strong in their system.
Mm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? I'm just curious to know that I know with myself and with your clients that, I mean, it's a tough thing to say in a podcast, that you get results really quickly. Like you get results in weeks, not years. And why do you think your process is so not fluffy and straight to the point?
Because I'm pretty fussy with who I work with, Barbara. If you need me to hold your hand, I'm not that person. Like,
Okay, there we go, everyone. If you need, yeah, she's not going to hold your hand.
I'm really direct. If somebody's tried all the things, they're like, "Well, I'm here to bring in the highest standard of change." Like, well, and that's where I would always encourage my clients, like, to sign up either 3 months or 5 months, and then actually have a break, because in that chunk of time, things are going to change so much that you are going to want to take that. Give me some time out, Claire. Like, this is we've
Yeah,
shifted so much, and our life is different. Uh, but that, again, that's when people, how do I put, actually, I'm going to hand it over to you and ask you, from the brief times you've experienced my type of coaching, what do you think makes it so fast?
you just know your shit, I think. And I don't muck around either. So
Yeah.
I think I like working with you because you are direct, but also when we do an exercise together or where you're coaching me through a session, it's just very action. Okay, we're doing this, go, let's do, like, it's very purposeful and action steps, and you're just guiding me. I never have to think what's happening next or what are we doing, because you've got control. And I really like that about you. You do that. And so we're going to do this now. You explain things really clearly. Always say, do you have any questions? Most of the time I do. Yeah, it's a nice way. That's kind of my perspective.
That's helpful to know, because even when you describe, like, yeah, go, 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 a lot of the time the logical mind wants to give the objections and the stories or the justifications why things are like they are. And if I entertain that part of you, that's literally, it's a separate part. It's a part that's trying to protect you and keep you the way that you are. If I entertain that, we are going to spend 12 months on one topic. Whereas if I can dance the dance with you and take the lead and say, actually, I'm looking for this, then we are now tapping into that version of you who is wanting more, but has always been minimized and hasn't allowed their voice to come to the surface. So that child who was taught to, again, to overgive or to suppress what they wanted to say because they didn't want to make things uncomfortable for people, that is a voice that has ensured people's survival in adulthood, to, like, to suppress what you really want to say and be in this human world. But if we can actually tap into the voice before you were trained out of who you are, so to speak, then you start to get really, really clear and direct on what is important to you. And even if it is the house, the car, the money, the good health that's important to you, we need to assess why there's all of these other parts that are keeping you in that limitation, worried about what people will think, the judgment, the shame, everything that I've just spoken about. Because if you are so conditioned to belong and fit into the family dynamic, and then suddenly you have this big chunk of money and you go and buy the house or win the lotto or buy the car, you'll find that a lot of the people will say, oh, who does she think she is? Or whatever the judgment is. So energetically, you will block all of those good things, because it is so important to this insecure version of you to belong. And so that's where we're having a look at, well, why are you handing your power over to other people? The judgments, the guilt, the shame, why do they have a say? And what is the consequence if you go against that? And so we're challenging all of those old, again, invisible narratives. And that's, yeah, that's even though I am a go, 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 like, this stuff energizes me to no end, because it's just pulling the truth out of somebody and shining a light on that. And yeah, and being able to witness somebody's transformation really quickly in front of my own eyes.
Pretty cool, hey? Because a lot of what you've just said then, our stories, our beliefs, how we're conditioned, a lot of people don't even know them, which is
Yeah.
normal. That's why you've got Claire here to help you. So our stories and beliefs and how we're conditioned is how our life is formed. And when you think about most of us, and I was including myself once upon a time, would literally give my power over to everyone. And it's really sad that, but that's okay because I had to do that to be where I am now. But I'm no different. I was someone that would um do so much and be something to everyone and give everyone my power. Oh my God, because I have so much to give. I was like, you get a piece, you get a piece, you get a piece. Uh, Not anymore. Sorry, no one gets any pieces. And because you said to me once, which is something that's really stuck with me, and I want people to really hear what I'm about to say, our insecurities protect us. But how that's so messed up. How because insecurities isn't like it's most of the time, I don't know, our insecurities aren't even our insecurities to start with. They've come from conditioned beliefs from our parents, from teachers, from friends. So that's what I struggle to. I like how that's so bullshit. Our insecurities are protecting us. How
Yeah.
so?
Can we, on the spot, can we think of a client example? Saying, yeah,
Can I use me even? What's mine? What's
yeah,
the
we could.
insecurity of mine that was protecting me?
Yeah,
Maybe
okay.
something along the lines of, oh, nah. You go. You got something by the sounds of it.
For you, or do you want me to shift it to a different client? Or
Oh,
not that you're a client, but
yeah, you can use me. Why not?
yeah, so let's use a common thread for most people who are doing burnout, fatigue, all of the things that are wanting money.
Yep.
And when we were, and I've been in this same boat too, right? I've been definitely in the same situation where I was in toxic relationships and giving and doing and so fearful of the consequence if, he wasn't happy, that in the end it just got too much. The goalposts kept changing and it was just like, I'd actually rather go homeless than keep up this because I'm on the brink of just not wanting to be here anymore. So having to face up to all of that within understanding that the money side of things is a material thing that you and I and most people are wanting more of, and knowing that money is really that blessing that the universe wants you to have more experiences and that fulfillment and the possibility. But a lot of the time growing up, if there's a level of chaos or power imbalance or even insecure parents, if they want the image of like the good family provider, like the healthy family, whatever that is, the white picket fence and everything that goes with it, then some of those parents can actually use the child's insecurities to make them look good. So they could use something like money, like I'll buy you the holiday so you're happy so that you look good in the photos, like so I can show your grandmother, my mum, like, yeah, look, I've got it all together. Life worked out for me. So going a little bit off track here, usually, usually with the insecurities, people who are depleted in themselves or insecure about themselves will want that, will kind of use you to make themselves look better. And they will play into your insecurities to make them look better. Now, if you're being a child and you're being taught that the sky is blue and that, you've got to be kind to animals and that you've also got to make dad happy and you've also got to eat your vegetables, like out of all of that conditioning, how do you know which one to reject? And you don't. So all of the things that you're absorbing is the rules on how to live. So when dad's not happy and he's like, okay, well, how do I uh, how do I change myself to make him feel better about himself? This is where that insecurity is taught about, okay, be really psychically aware of how the energy is in the room. What can I do to change myself to keep the peace. And you would have felt this too, right, Barbara, that there were some insecurities of yours being used against you for them to look good about themselves, not necessarily your dad, but just people that we've worked with, right? She's nodding, everyone. You probably can't hear her.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm deep in thought. Yeah.
And so if they've been able to pick up on your insecurity about money or figuring out how to live or figuring out how to be in this big world, and they can throw some money at you and now you're happy, suddenly all of your power's going to them to get your security, and you're now thriving on, or surviving, I should say, on insecurity. So I'm not going to actually look at the money blocks. I'm actually looking at how you're handing your power over to other people. That at some point in time you felt so vulnerable that you handed a piece of you to somebody else to say, please look after me. And now you're playing by their rules. May not be working for you because they've got a different agenda. But this is what we're talking about. The insecurities have taught you how to survive as a child. In adulthood, they're going to mess you up no end.
That's pretty good. I'm sure that might be the first time that people are hearing that. It's pretty. I'll just give that a couple of minutes to land because it's really big.
Do you want me to simplify it in any way?
No, that's perfect. It's really good. I just want people to be like, whoa, okay, that's good.
I'm going to add to that piece there, because some things that even I've had to work through is my family dynamics. If you say no to somebody growing up, that was a big, like, no, you do not say no. And if you do say no, then you lose everything. It's black and white. You do not say no to your parents. It's black and white. So taking that into business and then like having somebody push your buttons or something is like, oh gosh, this is so black and white. Like if I say no to you, like what's the consequence? And it's these types of conditions and rules that, again, ensured your childhood survival. But as an adult, you're not going to attract in healthy people if that's the rule that you're operating by. So like that exchange of saying no to someone and then they come back with a refreshing response like, oh, cool, like, can we do it this way? And you're like, oh, goodbye, rejection sensitivity. Like, yeah, let's have healthy dynamics here. Like, let's have a healthy conversation.
And saying no is good. Yeah, that's a beautiful example. Thank you for sharing that, because I think a lot of people definitely can relate to that. One thing I've got a question for you is, what do you find is the most common thing people are missing when we try and fix burnout?
Yeah, this one's fun, Barbara.
What are we missing here? Are we just on that hamster wheel and people can't get off the hamster wheel? Is that what it is?
No. Like when people do burnout, they're on the quest again to put more energy into the system. So the metaphor that's coming to mind is like, if you've got a shitty car that's not operating and you keep putting in more petrol, like you're not actually fixing the shitty car, you're just adding more fuel to the problem.
I
So
like
when
that. That's really I really like that one.
So yeah, when people are doing burnout, then I'm looking at this really interesting question for people to consider is, what's the worst thing about adding more energy to your system? And that is going to highlight people like, oh no, there's nothing wrong with adding more energy. Like, yeah, thank you, logical mind and ego. But underneath that, what's the worst thing about adding more energy to your system? And from client cases, like thinking about mums who are doing it all, being it all, if you add more energy to her, now she's looks capable and she can now do more things for more people, and no one actually steps in to help. Oh, mum can't, she's not actually changing the rules of the game where I've got permission to now delegate, or I've got energy now for me to actually go for a walk or relax. It's like, okay, I've got more energy to keep the old programs running of doing, giving, being. Blah, blah, blah. So we're actually looking at, with burnout, the solution is definitely not to go do, you still need to eat all the good things and do all the good exercise, but it's not going to be about adding more vitamins and yoga and all the things to the system until you resolve the invisible script that's keeping you in burnout. Go work that out and then go do the chiro, the massage, the naturopath, the homeopath. But you need to actually work out, because if your body, so again, I'm talking really passionately, cleansing breath, if you've already got a belief in place that you cannot trust support because you're not delegating, you're not asking for help. If you don't trust support and then you pour more vitamins into your body, which is support, your body is going to reject it. It's going to be a very expensive, long-term, like, oh, this is not working, try this, try this. No, 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 no. Go work on the energetic belief system here about receiving support. Like, this was huge for me when I was in those toxic relationships. It was like, yeah, no, like making me more energetic does not help me. It helps everybody else.
I've just written that down. The energetic belief system. Now, I know not too long ago, there was a Barbara that would read that and be like, oh, fuck, who gives a shit? What is this energetic shit? This is just woo-woo. I promise you. So someone that's hearing that, I want to meet you at that level, and it's okay, because I was that person. Now I help people at that level, but I understand. It's almost like you use the car analogy. I want to use like the house analogy, where, you know, you think of the foundations of the house as a big, I don't know, I haven't built a house yet. One day, the concrete slab that goes down, what happens if we just use mud? What happens if we just use something cheaper and build a house? If you don't start roots down or the foundation down, I know that sounds like very therapy speak of me for a second, but if you don't, energetic belief system, if you don't start from the bottom and work your way up, all you're doing is just the surface level stuff, which people at surface level, again, I was there too, so I've been there before. You go to this person, this supplement, this training program, this, got to do more. Monday's coming. I'm going to start this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get it. Da, 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 da. So if you're with me on that one, it's all right. We've done it. I've done it. But when we look at we need to change things around. All that stuff works. Every single eating plan, training plan, supplements, naturopath, homeopath, they all work.
They all work when there's systems in
They're
place to support it.
amazing. They're fantastic. But you've got to work on the energetic belief system first, that ground level, but also at the same time, adjacent to that or in line with that, you've got to work on you, knowing that you're enough, you've got everything you need. And if you go to a doctor or someone that you don't like or something's off, you have to trust that, because it's all about power. It's all about giving, like you said, giving your power away, but you have to trust that. So, I mean, that's a lot to chuck on someone, but there you go. That's how my podcast works. So we're here to get results and not fluffy stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, if I use the word energy, like what I said about mediumship with the fan and the energy that you're picking up with the wind coming off that fan, and similar to the way that your body's responding, like if somebody's got depression, then there is that don't quote me on all the fancy words, but there is that chemical and the hormones, the cortisol and everything else. They're all energy. You're all marinating in that energy of suffering and a lot of heaviness there. And if you're in an environment that's causing that suffering, then changing and bringing in dopamine and connection is not going to be a good idea, especially if you're in a toxic relationship. We do not want to bring in connection if you're in an environment that's suffering, and that's like that's causing that burnout. And what's happening within NLP, the neural pathways, is the neural pathways are like roads, and they will keep you in that habitual thought of, yep, I'm stuck, I'm suffering. You will continue even in that self-doubt to make those hormones and the chemicals that keep that system in place, the depression and everything else. So when we start to shift the way that you're thinking, then we're starting to, well, especially if we change the environment, but if we start to change the way that you're now bringing in safe connection within yourself, safe connection within the happiness of what you already have, this is the fun thing, is you actually will recognize that you're not going to tolerate the nonsense outside of yourself. The neural pathways are now looking for more roads that give you a smoother, easier ride in life. And so things outside of yourself will start to change because you're looking for it and you're no longer tolerating the old narrative. So I know I use the word energy, but this is also just like powering your home, like Barbara said there with the foundation. You still got to use electricity, energy. We're talking much the same.
Mm. Yeah, for sure, for sure. So many things are going around in my head.
Sorry.
No, to ask you and to okay. Without naming any names, I'd love you to share with us a client transformation that still gives you goosebumps. Have you got anything that you can share off the top of your head?
Oh, so many.
We just need one, just so people can understand the process of. We all like to hear that stuff, and let's talk about it because I think it's important. We're just going to share one example, but I think people listening to this do need to see that good things can happen.
Yeah, if I'm going to play in the lolly shop, it might be more than one, but let's see how we go. I had an NLP. I'm no longer teaching NLP. I've moved beyond NLP into other, my own modalities that from what I've gained from NLP and combining all of the healing things that I know. When I was teaching NLP, there was a particular process to change a belief, and we were working with a beautiful woman who was, again, in a traumatic type of relationship, completely lost her voice. That's why she was coming to NLP, was to better help the few clients that she had. As a healer, she was very well respected in the community, but she was struggling with her voice and she was struggling in her environment with that suffering. We shifted the limiting belief about the power within her voice, full body tingles, and with that belief about bringing that back to the surface, the strength in her voice, within a few short weeks, she was able to contact a friend who was able to contact the police. He was removed out of that home. She is now in her own home, thriving, friends, business, money. Oh, if anyone could see me, I got turkey skin, the hairs are standing on the top of my head. I love these stories, and they're not stories, they're client examples. But that was just an honor to be part of that. And that's part of my job, is when I've worked with women who, again, toxic relationships or unhealthy dynamics, living on mum's couch, and then looking at who they are now with they're now respecting and valuing who they are instead of being the good girl. And they have the holiday house and they have the home for their children and their franchise where they're now like home, they're now child therapists, where there's a franchise hiring hundreds of people in her business. When she met me, she'd just been kicked out of by her ex on mum's couch. So the stories are huge when you can start to get rid of the beliefs about being good to be rewarded versus valuing yourself to manifest in what you want. So yeah, I want me to keep going, Barbara. Like, I love these stories.
Oh, that's amazing. That's incredible. I think that's a really nice one because I don't want to,
Yeah.
like, authenticity for me is like we say one or two, and then that's other people tend to really sit on those success stories or the testimonials, and there's too many of them. It's like one and done. Like that's enough to show how deep this work goes and how it can completely change someone's life. Like, seriously. I'm curious to know, what are the first signs that you see that, because I've got mine, so I want you to share yours first. What are the first signs that you see when a client is shifting?
The the biggest compliment that I get working with people who are in healthy relationships is when their partner says, "Oh my gosh, tell Claire, like, you're a completely different woman." And they're like, "Huh?" Part of the healing process is actually to get somebody to almost forget they had the problem. It's not healing amnesia, but it's like that. We're sort of shifting timelines where they can't actually tap into how it was deliberately, so they don't bloody create it, make my job harder. But when I'm hearing from the partner going like, "Yeah, I said to her, like, let's go do that thing," and she said yes, instead of all of the overthinking and the rumination, what will people think, what do I wear, blah, blah. And it's just like that, because that, even they're speaking sometimes for the children, like that, like mum's feeling good about, like, there's no more noise and chaos. This is like, so yeah,
It's
that's
pretty
usually how I
cool,
know.
hey? Yeah, it's very cool. I like that. For me, the first signs I see when someone is shifting is they're talking about something, and I'm like, hang on. Like, they'll always say it really quickly. They'll go, blah, 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 and I'll be like, sorry, what did you just say? And they'll look at me, matter of fact, and they'll go, blah, 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 blah. And I'll go, that's interesting. And they're like, what? Because they've already moved on. I'm like, when I first met you, this, and now this is this. And they go, 9 times out of 10, they'll go, did I say that? And I'm like, yeah. And then they'll go, oh, but then my job is for the next 20 minutes or so, I have to sit there with them and go, do you realize how big of a deal this is? And I really sit there and they're like, no, and I'm like, yes, we're going to sit here. Wow, look, that's so amazing. And they look at me like, what the fuck? Because they really want to, their nervous system and their body wants to talk about something else. And I purposefully let them sit in it till they're really uncomfortable and they go, can we move on? I'm like, no, not yet. We're going to sit here and we're going to celebrate, because when you did this was what happened before, and now this is what's happening. And I just reframe it in 4, 5, 6 different ways. However I see, when I see that they've got it,
Yeah.
keep watching them. They keep saying it until they sit in it, and then they go, oh, okay, they've got it. And then we move on. So that's the beauty about working with someone, is you will miss those steps if you're alone.
If you've got it, how do you feel observing that when you see, like, yeah, they've got it? Like, how do you feel about that?
Well, because I'm working, so I'm like, okay, right, let's on to the next thing. Like, I will reflect at the end, obviously, but because I want to help them and want to give them like the juicy stuff, my brain's already like, right, excellent, all right, let's work on the next. But we have heaps of time sitting in that. We sit in it, we bathe in it, and then obviously the work is done, so we need to move on to something else then.
Yeah. And it's the
Yeah.
belief that if you can do that, like that was a big milestone, and if you could do that, then the next step, like, is so much easier, and then the results become more immediate because you're building that belief that, yeah, things can change and they can
Yeah.
change quite quickly. Such an important step to hold people in that space, Barbara.
Yeah, it's really nice. And I often, and same with you, I get messages all the time, and I can't talk about it and I can't put it on socials or anything, but I get so many messages from my clients. And I love how they go, oh, you'll be so proud of me. I'm like, no, yes, I am, but be proud of yourself. But I love it when I open a text and I say, Babs, you'd be so proud of me, blah, 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 blah. But I can hear that they're so proud of themselves. And if that's how they have to word it, I'm okay with that. But I always say, I'm just here to help you. I'm so proud of you because you're doing the work. But I love it because that's when long-term clients too, when they've been working with me for a while, they definitely see the results and the shifts, and they're just like, I didn't realize how good life could be. I didn't
Yeah.
realize, and a lot of the time I'll hear someone say, I didn't know I could ever feel like this.
Yeah, mic drop. Like, that's what you're talking about, right? At the beginning, with like people complaining about life being so hard, and it's like it doesn't have to be. And it's
But you have to do really consistent, like how I work is you have to do consistent sessions. You can't just come
yeah.
and see me when you feel like it, because
No, because that's like putting out the fire. Like,
I can't make things. But if you actually want change, I'll give that to you, but you've got to, it's why it's called the work. Sorry. I'm
Well,
sorry, but not sorry.
and that's an interesting thing that you point out, that when people are putting their hand up to do the work, there needs to be a commitment that the goals that you make for yourself are non-negotiable, that sometimes it's going to get harder before it gets easier. But the other thing that you want to be really mindful about when you're working with somebody is that you also want to sign up for something that's a bit more long term, because otherwise, especially healers with love, they may fall into a trap of people pleasing, hoping you will come back. So sometimes if the system's not in place, that it's like, yeah, this is the promise, this is the commitment, like fortnightly sessions or whatever it is, you need to be mindful that you need to allow the coach and the healer to know that you will come back, so they can call you out on your BS and not fall into their own people-pleasing stuff. Does that kind of make sense for you, Barbara, like with what you've seen with other coaches, healers, like they sort of fall into a don't want to be too hard on the client because they might not come back?
I don't know. I'm hard on my client.
You've got that
I
commitment and that trust with them, but
I'm just hard, like I am, but it comes with pure love. And I think with me too, I'm always very open with, okay, what we're learning in here now, whether it's online or in studio, you're going to get tested.
yeah.
So what will happen is you will learn toxic love, or you will learn your self-worth, or you will learn whatever you're here to learn and whatever I'm here to help you with. You'll go, okay, yep, got it. Something will happen and we'll put you in the position whether you're going to do what you've always done,
Yeah.
or you're going to have the new thing. And that's the hard thing. That's when people need the support, I find, because you could have the awareness, but it's so conditioned into us, and it's like, oh, but maybe this person is nice, maybe he is lovely, or maybe on that first date when he was late, and I don't even know, when he was late and he was rude to the waiter, and he bagged his ex-wife all the time. Oh, maybe, maybe that she's
Just
a
having a
bitch.
bad day. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe she's a bitch, and maybe, he's a nice person. Oh, he's had a bad day. Where when you've healed and done the work, you're like, well, he's late. Goodbye. And he took me to a restaurant, like, and he was rude to the waiter. Goodbye. But if you're speaking ill of anyone that we can talk about people that we've been with in the past, sure, but when there's a lot of hate speak about it, you run, and that's what you will be tested. Whatever you're learning, you will be presented in that position for everyone to go, oh, has she learnt? We're going to send this person. We're going to send this person, and it's okay if we don't get it the first time. A lot of people will go down that rabbit hole and then go, oh no, I've done the thing again. Okay. It's okay, because next time you'll be sent another one, and instead of going on 3 dates, you go, oh, I go on 2, and then I go on 1, then I eventually go on none, because they all talk the same, they actually all sound the same. And that's what I always say to my clients that are attracted to a certain type of person. They think they're smart, but they're actually not, and they all talk the same, sound the same, look the same. Like, I've always said this to my clients when I went to court. When I had to put my AVO into place, I remember, and this was with very minimal therapy, very minimal self-work. It was the beginning of me really digging deep. I sat in my car after going in and talking to the police, and, the universe had my back, because I went in there, and then they were like, oh, he hasn't shown up today. We're protecting you. You don't need to, like, they were so freaking nice. I just cannot speak. They were just so good to me. And I went back into my car, because everyone, you got to remember, I knew no one in the country. I knew no one in Australia apart from him. And I knew nobody. And here I was I've never been to court before, walking through the detectives, never dealt with the police in my life. So there was on that Tuesday or Thursday morning, whenever it was, there were so many firsts for me, and I was so petrified that I was going to walk in and all his family were going to be there, and everyone, his mum and his sisters and everyone, and I'm on my own. I'm like, fuck, this is going to be the hardest thing I've ever done. And I walked in, and all the guys were on one side and all the women were on the other, because it was AVO day. And I looked across and I couldn't see him. I was like, this is just horrible. And all these horrible men were eyeing their woman across there was one woman that I actually stood in front of her and thought, well, if something's going to kick off, I'll punch him. Like I protected this she was an older woman and she was shaking because her guy was just across and he was staring her down. So I stood in front of her, my back to him, and she was, oh dear, you don't have to do that. And I said, yeah, I do. I'm here. It's all right. I got you. And she just cried and I just held her and I said, okay. So here I was going and I knew no one. And here I was protecting this woman. But long story short, the police was just so good to me and he didn't show up and they helped me. But anyway, I was in my car and the point of this was, as all these guys were coming out of court, I kid you not, this was 7 years ago or whatever, they all wore the same dress shoes. They all were wearing the same type of checkered shirt. They all wore their dress pants the same, where they had the bubble butt. So it was really like streamline pants with the big bubble butt. And then they all had their hair like immaculate, like fucking psychopath immaculate. And they had the same mannerisms. And as they were walking out, I laughed. Don't know why. So it's kind of funny. I was like, that was the first time I was like, oh my God, they all fucking dress the same. It was literally like replica. It was like a machine making all these men and they were coming out of the courthouse. And I was like, they all had the same mannerisms. And that was the first part of it. So that's what I mean. You're going to be tested in so many ways. Anyway, I took people on a journey there.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. You get tested in so many ways, and sometimes we don't, it's not perfection. We're human beings. And if you don't get it the first time, we've got to have the support around us. That's like, okay, cool. What do we miss this time? Next time we won't miss that.
Yeah. And a lot of, when you were talking about the person going on the date and he's late and all of that stuff, a lot of the time people go back for more because they're still operating from potentially like that childhood abandonment. Dad, parents got divorced, dad left, what was wrong with me? And then they kind of attract in that same sort of person to see, well, to prove to themselves, okay, he didn't leave because of me. Like they go in and they try to fix, so it's an interesting, we see it actually with Harry and Meghan, but it's a whole nother conversation if you're a royalist. But we often attract in those people to get closure from childhood stuff. And so as Barbara was expressing there, if you keep attracting in the same person, it's like, you got to look, put the mirror back on you. There's something there that you need closure on.
Okay, you can't drop that without moving on. I'm going to go back to Harry. I call him Meghan, whatever her name is. Harry.
Yeah.
Can you just share a bit of light on that? I'm just curious to know, why has he attracted someone like her?
From everything that we see as observers of the media, we see that Diana was somebody who was threatened and hunted down, and a bit of she was elegant and gorgeous, but she was also at jeopardy, right? She's quite vulnerable. And Harry's been on that pursuit to go and find that vulnerable, woman under threat, to be able to rescue her, to be able to heal his own wounds of where he couldn't rescue his mother. That's my interpretation of what I'm noticing with the.
So if I was listening to this podcast, I'd be like, hang on, you can't just say that and we move on. Let's just tap into that. So for someone that's listening who feels like they're just surviving, what's one thing that they can do today to start turning that around?
Yeah, good question. The survival piece, if you start to dial in, like slowing down the movie of your mind and start to check in, what are you tolerating? And what's your motivation? Are you proving? Are you saying yes to things out of obligation? Are you trying to be perfect so you don't get judged? You will hear this in your language when you hear yourself say, oh, okay, I should or I must. And a quick example for the listeners, if you say to yourself, I should help my neighbor on Monday, you'll potentially feel a bit of if you don't like your neighbor, but you potentially feel a bit of a cringe factor, like I should help my neighbor on Monday. If we change the language to I could help my neighbor on Monday, even that one word lightens things up. So previously, when you perceived that you didn't have a choice, like I should, obligation, I have to, now you're feeling trapped and stuck, and you're stuck in that survival pattern, compared to I could help them on Monday or Tuesday or after I do food shopping. Now you have choice. Now there's space. And now you're on that path to soften the way that you approach people. So if you're stuck in that survival mechanism, one of the first things you can do is just to check in where you're tolerating and where you're shooting yourself.
Great tip. There we go. I love that tip. That's really good. So, I've got one last question for you. And this is a big one. We're gonna finish off with a banger. Banger. Do I sound Australian when I say that? Banger.
Banger. Yeah. Say
Just heard the
castle.
vowels. Sorry, everyone's gonna be sorry, guys. I'm just like listening to my voice.
No, say castle.
Castle. Yeah.
Yeah, so you sound all proper and I sound like a bogan, like, how's it, go in your castle. Yeah.
I always hear it when people go plants. I've got something, I'll go plants.
Plants.
Plants. Sorry, anyway, it's my podcast. If I want to just piss around with some words, I can piss around with some words. Anyway, so I just heard that. I was like, okay, one more banger question for you. How can someone tell if their soul is off purpose?
Yeah, let's go for the deep dive.
Let's go.
Most people assume that there's going to be a big deal purpose, like what we spoke about, like being the king. There's a big purpose to somebody's life. Often people's purpose is to be here and to shine the light, which means that anything that's dimming your light, it's your purpose to attend to that. So if you're, full body tingles. So if you're stuck in guilt, that's going to dim your light. In fear, anger, resentment, survival, anything that's dimming your light, your purpose is to address that, to raise your frequency and therefore shine the light and help other people as well, because your cup is full. How do you know if you're off purpose? Or out of alignment, is because your health is telling you, and your finances will tell you. Your health, if you've got back pain, gut issues, feet problems, you're out of alignment. You're walking like your feet. You're walking on a path that's out of obligation, out of should, out of fear, out of the consequences. Oh gosh, what will people think of me if I don't? So you're out of alignment. And this is where coming back to being on purpose, to be your purpose, is to shine your light and to be able to, fragment and smash out and clear away whatever word is for you, anything that stops that light from shining.
There you go. That's so nice. But before, if I heard any of that, it's interesting. So interesting how perspective and the way we hear things is so different.
What do you think of that response? Like, and I can hear you doing a comparison from, old Barbara to new Barbara. Like, what's your interpretation of that?
I don't know, because I'm such a strong-minded person that I only knew, it's not that I know everything, but I'm very strong-willed that I will back myself 100% until I don't. But I'm the first person that if I've got it wrong, I'll go, oh, I've got it wrong, but I will back myself until the last hour and then go, oh, was I wrong? Okay. But any of that, I'm just going back to that old me, like, I remember like when I was training a lot and I used to get bloated stuff. I didn't get my period and I was bloating a lot. I thought it was really cool that I didn't have my period because it was just so much.
That was working for you.
Like, great. I mean, far out, Barbara. And then a couple of the bloating was very painful. And I don't get nothing now. Nothing. But there was a period of my life where I would get bloating. I just remember being on the treadmill or something and being like, oh, actually, I just had a flashback with my ex-husband. I was gonna say my first husband.
Really?
Okay, Barbara. What? I've only had one.
There's a second one coming
I was
in.
like, is there another one coming? Is there? Think before you talk, because I just talk and I don't think. When I was with my ex-husband, I forgot about that. I remember there was a long period of time. Wow. that I had bloating and sore stomach so bad that I would be curled over on the floor, like thinking this is what contractions would feel like. Like it was severe. And then if someone had told me then, oh, the reason why that you've got this is because you need to find a reason, what's happening in your life that's not working. I don't know if I would have been able to be open-minded enough then to go, I would have just probably been like, oh, it's something I've eaten. Like for me to think on an emotional or energetic level, I'd love to say that yes, I would have, but no one even approached me to say that. I didn't talk like that. I didn't know anyone that talked like that. But now that's the
Yeah.
first thing I say when a client says to me, I've got a bloated tummy. I'm like, how are you feeling? What's stressing you out lately? Tell me more, what's going on? Where
Yeah.
previous me would be like, oh, you just ate something. And I remember that pain was chronic,
Yeah.
chronic, like
And
bad.
that part of you that knew that you could back yourself and the strength and all of that, that I would say a lot of that's being on purpose. However, there was a piece here with the gut that there's something in your life that wasn't nourishing you, the gut, to digest, to nourish, to take in.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And
Nothing was nourishing me back then. Not even one
yeah.
thing.
And so the only way to get your attention on that is to give you aches and pains like a fire alarm. It gets your attention and you're like, okay, I can't tolerate this, gotta, shift relationships. Eventually you got it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I did. It took a very long time.
You see, what you're talking about though is another conversation for another day perhaps, but it's what you're talking about is the journey of how people raise their consciousness and
Mm,
how they go from, the cup is half empty, the cup is half full, the cup doesn't exist.
mm,
You're expressing the way that your consciousness has raised from relying on the safety and the stability that this is how it is in this material world and hard work equals this, hard work equals muscle. And you would know that there's a right way to build muscle. And then if you're coming in with a weak mind or a weak attitude, you're going to hurt yourself. And starting to have that awareness starts to awaken your consciousness where you start to question where else in your life are you like weak or not showing up the way that you want to show up. And so yeah, it's an absolute passion of mine to share how people do raise their consciousness and what you can look out for in their language and their approach to life. Yeah, it's exciting stuff. So
it's
yeah.
very exciting. And I want to say to people, if your mind, body, or soul has had enough and you're ready for a reset, you now know who to contact. So on that, I will put your details in the show notes, but do you just want to remind us of your website and your Insta handle, just so if people listening to this now, do it now. Go on there now while you're listening and message Claire and say, hey, can we have a chat? Can we have a catch up?
Yeah, it is my name, Claire Chancellor. So yeah, whether it's YouTube, Claire Chancellor, website, clairechancellor.com.au, and Instagram's Claire Chancellor. So you'll see me sharing this message everywhere for the right people to listen.
Nice and easy, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to say as we wrap up? Anything, any final words, anything you want to share?
The only thing I would share with people is to take notice that if there's a level of resentment, this is telling you that, yeah, you can't keep tolerating the way things are. If you're angry, it's telling you that there's a level of powerlessness here that's sitting underneath that anger. That's like, yeah, that needs a voice. If you're
Mm,
frustrated in life, this is telling us that you know where you want to go, but there's some things blocking you. The shame. Shame is saying that you're not measuring up to other people's expectations. All of these emotions that you're working through right now are limiting because they presuppose you're handing your power over to other people's judgments, expectations, and everything that their validation, approval. So take notice of that. You can definitely shift that, have freedom from anxiety, freedom from burnout. It's a fun ride, right, Barbara?
You can have wholeness. And I'm just looking at, I have little notes on my desk sometimes that I write on things to remind myself. I've just started to do that. I won't read a couple of them because they're quite personal, but one of them is just the words wholeness and certainty.
Yeah.
And that's what I work towards every day, wholeness and certainty. And you can actually live like that all the time. So that's exactly what you're saying. Thank you for such a powerful conversation about something that people don't really talk about. And it is a hard conversation to have, because how do you talk about this stuff? But I think we had a really good crack at it today.
Yeah, so much to talk about.
It's so much. So yeah, please feel free to message either one of us if you have any questions. But to wrap it all up, if things feel off, they are, and you don't have to live like that forever. But I know that we all have different thresholds, and I do understand that most of the time, I know when I see people, they have to get to the threshold and then some to want to come. And then when they do want to come, oh, I feel better now. I'm like, oh, I know. Like that's the trickiness about this, is you've got to strike when the window's open. So when you feel off, you book the appointment, message clear, like just do it, because it's going to circle around and come back and be worse and worse and worse. So just do it now. Save yourself.
Yeah, and book in with Barbara.
Yeah, save yourself like 10 years. Go do it now.
Yeah, and it's fabulous, right? When people book in, there's that sense of relief, like, oh, maybe I don't need it. And it's like, no, the magic's already happening, like the minute that you book in.
I feel better now. I'm like, okay. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me on another episode. It's really nice to have you back and have these conversations. And I look forward to having many, many more with you.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you for everybody listening in, and we will talk soon.
Bye. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I hope this conversation has added value to your self-care journey and inspired positive changes in your life. If you enjoyed this episode, consider sharing it with a friend who might benefit from this episode. Don't forget to subscribe on Spotify or on your favourite podcast platform to stay up to date on future episodes. Your support means the world to me. I genuinely love hearing from you, so please take a moment to leave a review. Let me know which part of today's episode resonated with you the most. Your feedback guides the direction of this podcast, and I really appreciate each and every single one of you for being a part of this community. To fall in love with yourself is the first secret to happiness. To find out a bit more about the Studio Chat podcast, head over to my Instagram page, Studio Chat Podcast, or if you want to find out a bit more about my counselling private practice, head over to Instagram on self_care_studio. I'm really looking forward to seeing you on the next episode. Until next time, take care of yourselves and keep embracing the journey of self-discovery.